Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Kellen here from Start Your Systems, and welcome to a Motocross the Nations wrap-up discussion show thing, whatever you want to call it. 2017 Motocross of Nations edition, and I'm joined, well, I was joined. Where did you go, Jay?
I just got disconnected.
You've gone missing. Let me re-invite you.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be joined today by the legendary Swiss MX photographer. He was even there this weekend. That's how special he is. Jey Crunch, how you doing today, Jay?
Good.
Maybe good, maybe bad. We'll decide
I'm
after
pretty
the
good,
race.
but I'm a little tired because it's late at night right now, and I didn't sleep that much this weekend. It was pretty busy and pretty tired, but I'll try to make it through it.
Yeah. So we're gonna do. Oh wait, actually go back. We need to restart the lobby because I need to do
Oh yeah.
the 15 laps. I'm just all
Nice.
torn down. I'm just way messed up. No, 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 da, 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 da. Look, you guys are seeing a secret password. Oh, too bad you're not in this game. Okay, go ahead and I can resend you an invite. All right, starting all over again. But yeah, so you were at the Motocross of the Nations this weekend in Matterley Basin, and you were there. Were you there all 3 days? Like, were you there for the little like parade thing they did Friday, and then on qualifying day and everything too?
Yeah. I flew up there on Thursday to check out a little bit about London. Never been in London before, so got to check out a little bit, and that was cool. And yeah, I went to the track on Friday morning as usual on the GP. It's cool to go there a little earlier, and especially the nations with all the team stuff. You know, there's always special helmets, special bikes to shoot, and I was managing some stuff with the Swiss team this year, so I had a ton of things to do on Friday, and yeah, it was cool to be early.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, did you like expect it to rain the way it did? I know you were talking to me a little bit earlier about how like muddy and sticky it got on Sunday, and so I'm assuming because I only saw weather reports, but the rain like started after qualifying on Saturday, and it just kept going all through until the race almost.
Yeah, there was a little bit of rain on Saturday morning during the MXGP practice, and just a few showers, and afterwards it was perfect. On Saturday, the rest of the day was great. For the photos also, the light was good. And on Sunday, it was a different story, definitely. It rained during the night. It rained a lot. And I was thinking it was... actually, I was thinking it would be worse than it was.
Right.
So I was pretty... Yeah, I was pretty surprised how the track turned out and how it went, you know, for Sunday races. And actually, it wasn't too bad despite all the rain we had during the night. I was staying near the track at the hotel, and when I saw all the rain coming down, I was like, yeah, tomorrow is gonna be a real mother, something special. And yeah, it was still something special, but not as much as I would have thought the night before.
Right. Well, I mean, I guess the big talking point from this video, at least for most of the fans that will be watching this on the channel, is how the USA did. So I'm gonna kind of throw it to you first. I mean, obviously not the best day. We find out today Thomas Covington actually tore his ACL on Saturday on qualifying, and then the two shock failures for Seeley. But I mean, did you think that realistically, after watching them on Saturday, that the USA still could win this Nations on Sunday, or was it just like a foregone conclusion? This is between the French and the Dutch, and there's no chance.
Yeah, at practice was hard to say because I didn't saw the other nations on track. But after qualifying, I was definitely sad about Silly doesn't going to do well on this track on those conditions.
Yeah.
It was very, very special, even for the hard MXGP rider, the motocross riders. Silly is more of a supercross rider, and even for motocross riders, it was hard to race in those conditions. It was very special. So it wasn't a day for Silly. It wasn't a track for Silly. Covington had that injury. Didn't really notice that on Saturday because he was riding okay. we didn't know what to expect from him on the 450. So we didn't really notice that, but Osborne did well. He went back from a average start, and he went back all the way. I don't know. He did average start. I don't remember.
Right.
I think qualifying. Yeah, it wasn't. It was all about Lawrence first. He did a good race, and then Osborne came back and passed him 2 laps ago.
Right.
And fans were crazy, and Osborne, yeah, it was clearly faster on Saturday. But yeah, it was the only one from Team USA who really was able to compete on this track with those conditions.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked, to be honest, by like the speed Covington showed on Saturday. Like, I really thought that between him and Seely would do better. And like, I was a little surprised that he had adapted to the 450 so quickly, but clearly it seemed like I can't necessarily understand when he may have torn his ACL, but I have a feeling that it was while he was in that battle with Wilson and was it Strybos, I think, on Saturday, because
Wilson.
It just seemed like, I don't know if he dabbed his foot wrong or something. Where did you go? You're just gone.
I don't know. Yeah, it crashed.
Oh, come on now.
The game crashed.
But
I'll try to join you.
Okay. I don't know if it was like he dabbed his foot wrong or what, but clearly after Strybos and Wilson got around him, he was not the same guy. So that must have been then, right?
Yeah, maybe because ruts were big, and on Saturday that was the last race of the day. And track was rough, and he was racing with Wilson, and yeah, it was definitely a tricky track to get injured that way, and you can really quickly broke your knee or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it definitely
kind of tracks.
Torn ACL in those conditions on Sunday was not like ideal conditions. I'm sure he wished it stayed kind of like it was on Saturday. And I kind of felt like Seely wished it had too, because, I mean, I don't know how you view Seely, but we think of him as like a supercross specialist, and he's never going to do well in the mud. And then it kind of, obviously the shock failure, made him DNF, but it seemed like even when he was running towards the front, he was kind of slipping back anyway and was kind of going towards the mid-pack instead of working his way forward. So it didn't help at all that it rained, at least for Seely's case, in my opinion. Yeah,
for sure. I think it's the same. For me, Seely is more of a supercross rider, and when I saw him riding on Saturday morning during practice, and I already saw that it wasn't the best rider for that track. He was not the best rider, but he wasn't really comfortable in those kind of tracks, and that's understandable because it's a very special track.
Yeah, I had heard that he did an interview and he said that he definitely like underestimated the speed of the GP regulars, I guess, where like on Saturday it was kind of a shock to him. So
yeah,
understandable that like the whole culture shock of it too didn't really help him perform on Sunday.
Yeah, culture shock, and first time in Europe for him.
Yeah.
And, said it in the press conference on Friday that it was special for him to be in Europe for the first time at Destinations. On this track, on this kind of track, he said he was looking forward to see what the guys are, where the guys are. He didn't really know what to expect. So yeah, he definitely learned a lot this weekend. That's the positive point, I would say. And but yeah, I saw him in the pits. He was having fun. He was laughing around, and he wasn't in a bad mood the whole weekend. Like, I want to go home and just take me somewhere else.
Right.
It was okay. It was trying to make the best out of the weekend. But yeah, on the track, it was definitely not the rider we expected to see. And yeah, it was a shame for USA, but no shame on Seely out. It's hard to come first time in Europe to come at the nations with the level of the other nations. This year it was very high. They were all on their A game, and yeah, it's difficult for a rider like Seely that never raced in Europe before, never raced those guys, never raced those kind of tracks and that kind of moisture also. Like the dirt, it was very different than what you have in the US. So
right.
yeah, definitely very difficult for him. So no blame. And yeah, he did his best. He had those shock failure in the races. You cannot do anything about that. But yeah, on Saturday it wasn't really in the mood anyway. But yeah, didn't help.
Right, and I mean, like, to be honest, you know, USA ends up 9th at this race, and it's pretty fair to say that a majority of the blame of why they ended up there is due to those 2 shock failures, because you got to imagine that Seeley's going to put into at least top 20 performances without the shock failure, like maybe one race outside the top 20, but I would assume that they could drop Covington's 22 at some point, and then they really do become like a top 5 threat where they're right around that like Italy area where they finished, or Switzerland. So I mean, it's kind of weird that, you know, back-to-back shock failures. I had read that the shock ring popped twice because of all the mud buildup. I mean, did you happen to go by the Honda pits afterwards and see the bike or anything, or was it just one of those you saw it rolling around the track and it was obviously a shock failure, and didn't see much more than that?
Sure, it was a shock failure, but I've seen them working on that shock the whole Saturday, and I wasn't thinking about it at the moment. But after he broke the shock in first moto, I was like, yeah, they've touched something they didn't have to touch, or whatever. And in second moto, I didn't see him retired, so I didn't know it was a shock failure. It just disappeared from the track, and yeah, I wasn't sure, and I'm still not sure, but yeah, looks like it was a shock failure again.
Yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't change the whole shock, but that's, you know, that's Honda's problem.
Yeah, and that's just unfortunate because, like I said, it seemed like the USA was at least a top 5 team, regardless of all those issues. So, but I mean, realistically, I think the story from this is just how good France is. I mean, they don't even send their A team, just like the USA, for example. You know, they realistically could have done better with a team of, you know, maybe Musquin instead of, I don't know, take Paul and Lefebvre out of there and then Ferrandis instead, or even just take out the MX2 guy and put Musquin back on a 250, and that team is pretty unbeatable. But they have to go all the way down to a world enduro rider, Christophe Charlier, to make it work. And I mean, I was pretty shocked with how well Charlier rode, but is that just the status of French motocross right now? It's just there's so many good guys that they have an endless line of guys to pick from, I guess.
No, I don't think they have an endless line the guys to pick from, like you said before, because they had to go find out Charlie, and they have other French guys that race the GPs and race in MX2 class and EMX 250 too. So they have some riders, but not that much, you know. And Musquin, it could have been on the 250, but he had that injury. But I think Poland and Lefebvre, it's the right choice for the 450. And yeah, they had to find another 250 rider, so they went to Charlier. And I honestly consider Charlier more of a motocross rider than a enduro rider, because what are you doing?
I'm trying to wait for you.
And don't wait too much. And yeah, Charlier for me is more of a motocross rider, because last year he was still on the GP circuit, and he already did the Nations for France a few years ago. He was always in contention for a top 3 finish and the MX2 World Championship. He was European champion, sorry, in 2010, I believe. So Charlie, yeah, he always have been a great motocross rider. And just this year he tried enduro because he didn't have a deal, or he had a better deal maybe in enduro.
Yeah, I mean, for sure for that, but I mean, you have to be a little surprised with a 6th place in that second moto. I mean, that was like, he only got really beat by Osborne, but Lawrence was going to beat him too on a 250, so it was kind of a 250 domination race anyway, where they made it look good in the 450s. But still, like, Charlier was like really the third best 250 guy there today, or on the weekend, and that's kind of impressive, you know, to not be racing motocross almost the whole year and come back to it and still be that good, you know. Like you said, he's been good in the past, but I don't know. It shocked me. I don't know if it shocked you though.
No, it didn't shock me that much because I knew he will do well. I know he'll do good, but I didn't expect him to be that well in second moto. In first moto, he was about right where I think it was.
Agreed.
You know,
yeah.
his place was. And yeah, in second moto, it was just very good, and that confirmed that France had done the right choice to pick him because he still had the riding on point, and those kind of conditions was really good for him.
Right.
Like he's a hard hand motocross rider, always good in the mud, always training hard in difficult tracks, never really not daily prep tracks and everything. So it was good track for him, and he did well.
Yeah.
As you can see, it was good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe you know a little bit more about this because I follow the GPs as much as I can, but obviously I'm not there, so I can't get much more information. But we've seen it in the past where these guys have, you know, breakthrough rides at Motocross of Nations, and I'm not saying Charlier is like a super breakthrough ride, but like thinking back to when Ben Townley finished second at Ernée a few years ago and then got the Suzuki ride next year. Like, do you think that this maybe opens some doors for Charlier? Maybe he gets a ride on like a, you know, not a full factory team, but a good team in MXGP again? Or do you think he's pretty set on staying with the enduro stuff?
Yeah, I think he got some doors open now, especially with Husqvarna. You know, he's really good with Husqvarna. I know some stuff inside, so I know he's really good with Husqvarna. He will maybe stay at Husqvarna, but I'm not sure he wants to be back on the GP circuit yet. I think he want to do more at the enduro stuff before he maybe come back. But yeah, it's difficult to say right now. He did Great Nations, but I think he's really happy now that he did like the ISDA 6 days of enduro and the Nations the same year.
Yeah, I mean,
and
well, it became.
Yeah, it will probably stay on that right now and be back at the enduro, and maybe it will be back at motocross one day. I don't really know.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean,
but I heard he's good with Husqvarna, so if he come back in the GP, that will most likely be with Husqvarna and in the MXGP class, of course, because he doesn't have the. He's
too old. Yeah.
50.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's you brought up a good point there about how he also was on the French ISDE team this year, the International 6-Day Enduro, because I mean, people were digging through the record books to see if they could figure it out, but he may be one of the only guys to win the ISDE with their country and then also win the Motocross of Nations in the same year with their country. You could go back to Stefan Everts winning the individual ISDE in 03 or whatever it was, and then winning with Belgium at the Motocross of Nations, but they didn't win the Motocross of Nations with Team Belgium. So, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. Like, that makes Charlier like a really elite guy suddenly, where he's, you know, can be kind of viewed as one of the better well-rounded motocross riders in the world, which is kind of crazy how quickly things changed for him from getting out of a GP ride last year to winning the ISDE with France and winning the Motocross of Nations with France. Like, he's suddenly kind of a sought-after commodity, if you will. You know, that's pretty wild.
Yeah, he went through some different, very different emotions, I think, the last few years.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, last year he wasn't having a ride, you know, so that's why he went to enduro. And this year he ended up being one of the most successful riders of the year on a motorcycle, on a dirt bike, I would say. So yeah, it's pretty special for him, I guess. He was really happy after the race. He was even talking to everybody. My dad was standing and he was talking to him. My dad could not believe it, but yeah, that was happening. And yeah, he was really pumped on the win, and that's normal, you know, when you do something like that. And they went through the records during the press conference. He's the third rider to do that.
Oh, okay, cool.
Winning the ISDA, but it happened in, I guess, 1947 or something like this. and 1960 and a few. So yeah, very far away
Wow.
from now. And that wasn't the same kind of motocross of nations. You know, there were only Great Britain and Sweden doing very well, and Belgium, countries like that. You know,
Yeah.
there wasn't even American motocross at the time.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty gnarly stat to bring up for sure. And so, I mean, I want to break this down a little bit more with the actual nations race, because I thought going into it that, you know, last year France won on I think 29 or 30, and I thought now they have Charlier, like, yes, the team's good, but Febvre's had an off year. I thought there's no way a team was going to score less than 30 points and win the event, and obviously France ended up winning on 20. And then you go back to the Netherlands, who, I mean, personally, I thought were going to win this event, and they landed on 31, which is totally where I thought they could win from. And that's kind of crazy to think about, that the Netherlands got a better score than they did last year and still lost, even though France technically didn't have the same kind of team that they had last year, you know? I mean, do you think that the Dutch look at that as like a, man, we just can't get it done because this is the 7th time they finished second? Or do you think it was just they realized that the, you know, French team was that much more on top of things?
Yeah, the French team always do well at the nations. Like Poland, even with Honda, when he had rough years, he was always doing good at the nations. And same with Febvre.
Right.
Last year and this year he did well at the nations. It was difficult years for him. Last year going through a big head injury at the very same track of Matterley Basin, and it was difficult for him to get back on track, and a few GPs in the bruise in the clothes, I would say. And he always did great at the nations, and it was definitely a strong point for him. And last year they had Patrol on board. Patrol is a great rider this year, but last year it wasn't that great. At the nations, he wasn't performing very good.
Right.
I think a country like Netherlands didn't really expected France to do that well. They knew they were going good with Poland and Febvre, but they wasn't expecting Charlie to do that good for sure.
Right.
And they were really disappointed on the podium because Hollings was riding on another planet this weekend.
Yeah.
Just like NC, and they still didn't win the nations. That was pretty crazy. But yeah, Koldenhoff wasn't on his game this weekend. Definitely.
Yeah.
Difficult for him.
I don't really know what the deal with Koldenhoff is, because I feel like he was much better a couple years ago, and I wanted to pose this question to you during this video. Is like, you can't do better than what Herlings did, except for maybe beat Anstey in the second moto that he was in. But like, obviously a lot of the blame for Netherlands not winning this year lies on either Koldenhoff or Bogers. And I mean, Bogers went, I think he went 12-9, and then Koldenhoff went 8-11 or something. So I mean, Bogers rode his, you know, balls off, I guess, to get that 9th place finish in that second moto, and hoped that he could be able to drop his 12 or whatever. So I mean, where would you put more blame on Netherlands not getting it done? Is it Koldenhoff needs to step up, or do you think Bogers needs to somehow, you know, find his way into the Charlier or Osborne range next year if they send the same team?
Yeah, I think the problem with Koldenhoff is that he's a one type of soil, one type of circuit kind of rider. He does perform very well on this kind of tracks, but not so much on the kind of tracks of Matterley Basin. Majora was a little bit better, but tracks like Matterley, it's really not what he likes. So he's struggling a lot when that's not a track he likes. Yeah. And maybe more than other riders when they are not riding on their favorite tracks, but that's the low point with Koldenhoff. And I think Bogers did the job. He did his best, and he went a little bit short on physical condition at the end of the second moto, and he lost a couple of spots. It would have been a little bit better. If I'm not wrong, maybe the first moto he was very good, but he dropped a lot. I don't remember if it was first or second moto.
Right.
it's always hard to follow when you are at the event. It's harder than on TV.
Yeah, because I just feel like this Netherlands team, it's not going to get any better than what they got. You know, like the only.
I think they can get better at tracks like a little more sandy.
Right.
You know,
no, for sure. But I'm saying, like, in terms of riders, this is the best team that they're going to be able to send for the next 3 or 4 years, unless somehow Davy Pooches catches fire. But I just don't see it happening.
No.
I mean, it's like, who's got to?
It will be Vlaanderen before him.
Yeah. So who's got to step up? You know, you think Koldenhoff has got to be the guy that rides better at this event, or do you think Bogers has got to try to figure it out?
No, I think Koldenhoff really needs to step up his game.
Yeah.
To be better on the kind of tracks he's struggling on, and after that, maybe they will get a win, because that's really, for me, the low point of Netherlands. It's Koldenhoff.
Yeah.
Bogers is learning. It's been not so long ago that he's running up front in MX2, so he's still learning. And next year he have a good ride, and I think he will learn a lot next year. So we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. All right.
But yeah, Koldenhoff really needs to step up his game.
Yeah.
On those kind of tracks, and after that, it will be okay for Netherlands to be in potential contention for the win.
Yeah, I'd agree with you on that for sure. All right, I got a question for you on this one. I'm gonna give you 3 possible answers on this question, but for your opinions, I suppose. The bigger surprise of the weekend, would you say it was Anstey going 1-1, Lawrence winning MX2, or Charlier actually finishing 6th in that second moto?
Joker? No, it's hard to say, but I always believed in Lawrence, that he was a very good rider. It's been a few years now that I see him riding, and I know how well he can do, so that wasn't that much of a surprise for me. I was a little bit more worried about Anstey going to the weekend, but now I could really feel the hometown crowd and the home track were really playing in his favor. It would not have been the same Anstey on any other tracks. So maybe Anstey surprised me the most.
Yeah, I didn't know really like what got into Anstey. I think the conditions helped a lot. With, you know, it getting muddy and rainy like that. He's always been really good in those conditions. But I mean, even on Saturday, he was riding really well. Like, he was going after Paulin until, you know, that lapper incident. But I guess it's just like you said, where it was the home nation, the home crowd cheering him on. It's like it fired him up a little bit more. And it's good because Great Britain needed that, because I feel like, you know, Searle didn't really get the job done when it came to MX2, and Anstey going 1-1 really helped them get on the podium this weekend, you know. Yeah,
exactly. Anstey for sure. The 1-1 finish, it really helps them, even if there were a big gap with 4th place Belgium. But yeah, it definitely helps a lot. Anstey rode awesome this weekend. I'd never seen him raced that way.
Yeah.
And that was definitely the hometown crowd power. That was the same with Tarnus when he won in Switzerland. That was exactly the same.
Yeah.
And that's well, there is riders that perform very good with their hometown crowd behind them. Others don't really, but there's a few that perform very good.
Yeah, exactly.
And Anstey is one of those. Definitely, he was on another level. I've never seen him on that level. He was pretty much on Hurling's level this weekend.
Yeah.
And at the moment, since a few months, I would say, it's hard to be on Hurling's level. And he was definitely on it.
Right. All right, well, we'll finish up this video basically by talking about your favorite country of all time, the Swiss, who, you know, they got 5th this weekend, right, if I'm not mistaken. So another solid performance. I think obviously they'd like to do a little bit better. Just to touch on the Belgians who got 4th, I mean, they were sneaky good all weekend. Van Horbeek rode as I expected. Strybos stepped up to the plate, and Van Donnik was just Van Donnik. I mean, he just crashes a lot, but that's what happens. But I mean, that Swiss team, again, it's kind of like the Netherlands where, you know, you're not going to have a better team than what they've got right now for at least a little while. And it's a good team, but it just doesn't seem like it all clicks with them every time. And yeah, 5th is good, but there's a lot of potential there, I feel like, and maybe you can touch on that too, is I feel like they could be easily a podium threat if they all perform the way that they know how. It just seems like it doesn't work every year, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You know, during a few years, I will come back to 2013 maybe, when there were all three, Tornis, Gio, and Sewer, and Tornis got injured last time, you know, last minute. And after that, there was no A Swiss team on track before before last year in Majora.
Yeah.
They were all three together again. Tornis on a really good bike, a really good mood. Gio on a really good mood as well, really good bike as well, and Sewer obviously the same. So last year I was definitely expecting them to be on the podium, and it was a very Swiss typical track, kind of tracks. And yeah, last year unfortunately Gio injured his hand on Saturday after a very special, bizarre crash with a rider, and that was a shame for us. But yeah, this year was definitely also one of those years that you say, yeah, we're on our A game, and we're going to do the podium, nothing else, you know.
Right.
And they've done a great job. That wasn't easy. It was a few little things that didn't help us getting on the podium, and yeah, we ended up 5, which is the place we're at. You know, the other nations in front of us, they're very good. We could have beat Belgium for sure.
Right.
But yeah, there was no USA in front of us. So 5, it's our place at the moment, and but I definitely think we can we can do a podium with the 3 riders in good shape and good bikes. I think we can definitely be a threat for the podium.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, well, we'll have to wait till next year to see what the Swiss can do in the USA. Redbud 2018. I guess final thoughts. Are you going to be going to Redbud?
Yeah, sure. I'll be. I've dreamed about that track hosting the nations since they said that Glen Helen will not. I was like, yeah, Redbud definitely needs to have the nations. So I'm very, very happy that the nations are going to Redbud, and I'm going as well. So I'm really looking forward to shoot at that track, and yeah, to get some US soil experience, and yeah, hopefully for the Swiss team that will work better, and yeah. All those kind of stuff, you know, and I really hope also for USA to bring their A team on track at home. So I really hope for good nations next year.
Absolutely, man. Well, I'll definitely be at Redbud next year. I'm looking forward to seeing you there then. But for now, thanks for joining me, man. Thanks for talking through the Motocross the Nations, getting a little bit more insight from your experience there, obviously. And hope you enjoyed chit-chatting.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was cool. A little tired there now, but it's okay. Sorry for the little mistakes I had. Maybe speaking right now it's not easy, especially in English, as French is my main language. So yeah, I'm trying my best. So maybe if I missed a few words, please mind it.
Maybe one day we'll have to do a French podcast or something.
Oh yeah, that would be cool. But yeah, you will need to practice a little bit, I think.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, man. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you later.
Thank you. Yeah. See you later.
All right.